Hi everybody, this is going to be, I can't look at the screen. Okay. This is going to be section 1.4, number 1. So solve for D in terms of CE now. So it's C minus E equals F. Okay, and they want you to solve for D. Okay, so they say solve for D in terms of C, E, and F. What that means is that you need to get D by itself. So you want D on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other. Remember, it doesn't matter which side of the equal sign you go with, but in this case, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to move the E and the C over here. Try and do your addition elements first. We're going to add E to both sides. So CD equals F plus E. And now, since C and D are being multiplied, we're going to undo that with division. So we're going to divide by C. C divided by C becomes 1. So 1D is just D. Remember, you need to do the whole thing, not just part of it, the whole thing by C. So D is going to equal F and E. F plus E over C, which is answer number 2. All right. Number 2 is B minus M A is equal to C. Now they want you to solve for M. Okay. One of the big things you want to remember is that there's a negative sign in front of M. There's a negative sign in front of M. So what you might want to do is you might want to go ahead and add M to both sides to keep it positive. And we're going to do this 2 ways. We're going to do it that way, and we're going to see how that arises as a problem. So we're going to add MA to this side, add MA to this side. Okay. Add the whole thing. You can't just add M. You have to add M and A together because they're being multiplied. So B is going to equal C plus M A. Now you can go ahead and you can subtract C from both sides. We get B minus C is equal to MA, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to divide by A. Okay, and we're going to find out that B minus C over A is equal to M. You guys might have a problem with that because that's actually not one of the multiple choice answers in the paper. So this is correct and this is fine. And if it was a multiple choice problem, you'd have to go about it a different way. But honestly, if this was a long answer problem, like this is the right answer. So let's go ahead and let's see the answer that they wanted on the paper. All right. So they wanted you to leave the M on this side. So they want you to subtract B and subtract B. So now I have negative MA equals C minus B. You're going to divide by A, but remember this negative sign is really a coefficient of -1. So we got to get rid of the -1 as well. You could do it in 2 steps, right, where you divide by A on both sides, and then you divide by -1 on both sides. But do yourself a favor, divide by -1A on both sides. That will cancel this out, this out, this out, and that'll become 1. So 1M, or just M, is going to be equal C minus B over -A, which is the same thing as the answer we had before. It's just a matter of changing the signs of everything. C minus B over -A. Our rule of fractions is when I do it to the top, and I do it to the bottom, everything is good. So this becomes -C plus B over A, which is, if we reverse these, B minus C over A. So they are the same answer, so don't worry about it. But this was the answer on your paper, and this was answer number 2. Good? Alright, so obviously I'm going to need some more space. Number 4, sorry, number 3. This is a real formula. This is circumference equals 2 pi times the radius. Again, if you guys recall, the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle, and the diameter is the distance across the center of the circle. Okay, from one point on a circle to another point on a circle to the center. So that's what this is. I'm sorry, the radius of this one. The radius is from the center of the circle to the outside, 1/2 the diameter. Okay? And they want you to solve for R. So they want you to solve for R. And it's pretty straightforward. You could divide by 2 and then pi. But remember, 2 times pi is, 2 times that irrational number, right? Whatever it is. But remember, this is going to be 6 point, I don't know, 28 something, 28 something. So this is just one number. You could just divide by 2 pi. You could divide by 2 and then divide by pi as separate steps, but again, get into the habit of doing 2 at once. 2 pi divided by 2 pi is 1, and circumference is going to equal to 2 pi. I'm sorry, circumference divided by 2 pi is going to be equal to r. Don't worry, the r is on the right-hand side. That's totally fine. Remember, your things are reversible. Okay, so you could rewrite this as r is equal to c over 2 pi. Okay, good, no worries. And that on your paper was answer number 3. All right. Moving along, moving along, moving along. One more time. All right. 4. Pi is equal to the circumference of diameter. Please, if you know anything in life, that's what pi is. Pi is the ratio in any circle between the circumference, the diameter, and the circumference. Okay, that's what pi is. If you take any circle and you divide C by D, you will get that number. But anyway, they want you to solve for C. Okay, so they want you to solve for C. So again, since your operation here is division, you're going to undo division by multiplication and multiply this side by D and this side by D. This is really D over 1 if you have to write it, but D for D becomes 1, and you're left with C times 1, which is just C, and C is going to equal pi times diameter. You don't normally write this. Some of my students ask me about that. You don't, because remember, pi is a number. This is a constant coefficient, so it's a number just like 3 or 4 or 5. So numbers always come before variables. It's coefficient. Good. So that's your answer, and your answer on the paper is number 4. All right, number 5. Oh, good old dependable. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, remember, this is not the equation for slope. This is the number one wrong answer here for my students. This is not the equation for slope. M is slope. This is the equation of a line. But they want you to solve for x. Okay, so they want you to solve for x, so we're isolating x. Again, let's leave x on this side and move the b and the m over to this side. All right, so let's start subtract the b. It's going to be y minus b is equal to mx. Okay, and your last step is divide by m on both sides. Remember, the whole thing is divided by m. Okay, I'm sorry. 5. So we're going to get this cancels out. This becomes 1x, which is just x, is equal to y minus b over. Good. Cruising along, cruising along, cruising along. I got a meeting in 10 minutes. Again, same one. Y is equal to mx plus b. And now they want you to solve for m. Okay, remember m is the slope. Again, that might be something important we want to find out. Same thing. You're going to see this one's very similar to the last problem. Okay, and they want you to solve for m, so we're going to divide by x. So we're going to find out that 1m is equal to y minus b over x. And what you may notice is that your last answer for number 5 was y minus b over m equals x. And this is kind of a unique thing that you guys can kind of take as a clue. When you have a fraction on one side and you just have a regular non-fractional thing on the other side, in other words, a rational, a non-rational, I guess it's still rational. But anyway, you could just switch these. Okay, you're allowed to just switch those. That will create the same thing. Just if you guys want to see that, as if we had 8 over 4 is equal to 2. Well, that's true, but if I switch these as well, 8 over 2 is still equal to 4. So anyway, just a quick little trick that'll save you some time in the future. And moving on, number 7. All right, number 7. Oh, it's still the same thing. Y equals mx plus b. Let's solve for b. Okay? Let's solve for b. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's solve for b. I'm sorry, no, we're solving for. Yeah, we're solving for b. Pretty straightforward. Take the mx. And you said b is equal to y minus an x. Pretty straightforward. Remember, just do this whole thing right here. Just do this as one big chunk, okay? And that on your paper was answer number 3. Okay, that's a layup, guys. You should not get that one wrong. Alright, number 8, A, B, C equals D, and it says solve for C. So again, you could divide by A, and then divide by B, and take it as 2 steps. But again, remember, A times B is just going to be a number, so we could just divide by AB on both sides. AB divided by AB is 1. That's 1C. C is equal to D over AB. Please excuse my handwriting. I know my D's and my A's kind of look alike sometimes. And that's going to be in paper number 3. Okay? All right. Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, 9, number 9, number 9. Same problem. A, B, C is equal to D, and they want you to solve for B. Again, remember that the associated property, ABC, CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, BAC, all these, when you multiply them, will all equal the same number. Remember, multiplication doesn't care about order. 3, 2, 4, 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4 are 24, 24, 24, okay? So again, multiplication does not care about the order of your numbers. It doesn't. There's no time for you. So we're going to go ahead. Let's do it on both sides. Divide by AC on both sides. Same thing. And we get B is equal to D over AC. Okay? And then on your paper was number 4. All right, moving right along. Number 10. Number 10. Number 10. Number 10. That's multiple choice problem. Solve for W in terms of L and P. 2L plus 2W is equal to P. First of all, this is the formula for, I'm going to make this L a little bit more clear. This is the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle, okay? We have a length, we have a width, but remember, your opposite sides are the same in a rectangle. So we have length plus width, which is 2L plus 2W, okay? And that's going to give you your perimeter, okay? So again, this is actually a real formula. Part of the reason I like this book is that they didn't just give you a bunch of numbers, they actually gave you some things that were real. And they want you to solve for W, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract 2L. Again, we're trying to get a W by itself, subtract 2L. I would find 2W is equal to P minus 2L. And then we want to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. Okay, so W is equal to P minus 2L over 2. And again, if you wanted to, and that, by the way, is answer number 2 on your paper. If you wanted to, you could take it a step further and say P over 2 minus L. That's fine, too. You can distribute that 2 to both. But, again, go with what's more useful for the given problem, okay? All right, I got 5 more minutes and I got a meeting. Hustle, 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 hustle. All right, number 11. These guys are 11. It says the equation that relates profit earned, the quantity sold, price R, and fixed expenses F is this. Profit is equal to the quantity times the price minus the fixed expense. Okay. Rewrite the equation with Q solve. Okay, so same kind of problem. They want you to solve for Q. Let's add F over here. Let's add F over here. This is P plus F is equal to QR, and again we're solving for Q. So we're going to divide by R, So quantity is going to be P plus F over. Good. Moving right along. I'm sorry. 2. B. I'm sorry. That was B1. This is now B2. So I thought it was 11. The volume of a rectangular prism. Volume equals length times width times height. By the way, I make my L's like little capital L's. You really should have lowercase letters, but I don't like my L's to look like the number 1. Where B is the volume, L is the length, and W is the width, and H is the height. Rewrite this equation in terms of W. Okay, so straightforward, same thing we were doing before. It's going to be 1W. Again, when I do to one side, I must do to the other. Width is going to be volume divided by length times height. Okay? Retrieve. Since the area of a triangle related to its base and its height is the formula A equals BH over 2. I don't like how they wrote it like this in the book. I really don't. I'm not a huge fan of that. It really should be the whole thing. But in fact, it's still the associative property, which we're multiplying and dividing. Rewrite this equation with B solved in terms of A and H. So again, they want B solved. So again, you can do it as two steps. I could multiply by 2. I'll show you this both ways. And that will be 2A is equal to BH. And then we can go ahead and we can, I'm sorry, we were solving for B. So we can divide by H and divide by H. And then we have the base equal to 2A over H. Okay. Faster way that we want to do this is something like this. Multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply by 2 over H. Do yourself a favor. Again, remember, if we're multiplying, we're allowed to mix and match tops and bottom, only if we're multiplying, right? So we did the whole thing, and now this whole thing times 2H. Well, again, remember, it's over 1. 2 times A is going to be 2A over H. That's going to be equal to the base. So again, if you've got that first step down and you're doing it by 2 steps, do yourself a favor. Start trying to do it as 1 step with the reciprocal. All right, how are we doing at time? Oh, I got 5 minutes. All right, let's do problems. Let's do B4. The surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi r h. Okay. Where S is the surface area, R is the radius, H is the height. We write this equation with R solved. Okay. So again, one big thing. Divide by all 3 at once. Again. Remember, when it's multiplication, we're allowed to do that, okay? It's all multiplication. That becomes 1. Oops, sorry, the R stays. Pi becomes 1, 2 becomes 1, okay? And all we're left with is 1R, and that's going to be S over 2 pi H. All right, last one, and then I'm off to meetings. Fun times. I'd rather be doing this than going to meetings. All right, number 5. The nth term of an arithmetic sequence can be calculated with the formula. Oh, God, we're going to do this later this year, guys. Don't worry. Is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 times the b. Rewrite this equation with n solved in terms of the rest of them. So I want to get n by itself. This, again, is something we'll do. It's one of the later units here. It just pretty much says that any number in the sequence is the first number of the sequence plus the number before it times the difference, okay? So this n right here and this 1 right here are not variables. We're just leaving those right as they are. They just let you know that this is the first number in the sequence, and this is the nth number. So when they say it's the nth degree or something like that, I think it's kind of related to that. But anyway, they want you to solve for they want you to solve for n. So again, do your addition subtraction first, okay? You have an minus a1 is equal to n minus 1 times d. Again, you could distribute the d, but skip that. Just divide the whole thing. Okay? So I have n minus 1 is equal to the an minus a first over the d, and then go ahead and add your 1 both sides. Now remember, this fraction has to just have the 1 tagged on the end of it. Okay, so this is kind of a tricky problem, especially because at this point in the year you have no idea what this means. Okay, but this would be your answer. Okay, so listen, I hope you guys find this helpful. Again, that was pages 16, 17, 18. This was 1.4. I'm going to try and keep making these guys. If you guys don't use them, I'm going to stop making them. If you guys do use them, I will gladly make them for you guys. All right, thanks guys. Have a good day.